fucking first cut. Golly. Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and this is your recap episode for this week's Wyndham Championship, which featured a very long day of golf and guys losing their minds over the final few holes. Greg DuCharme is here. Greg, it is good to see you, my friend.
It is good to see you too, Rick. I'm literally speechless over the finale or near finish of that tournament that we saw this evening. We got pretty much every player through 72 holes, and all I can say is what a week.
I mean, we just have to start with this. So this tournament officially is not done because
we have a winner.
But we have a winner in the most shocking scene ever. The outcome is settled. We'll get to that in just 1 second. But we knew all day long, Greg, that we were going to be struggling to get the completion of this tournament in. We finished up round 2 earlier today. We played the entirety of round 3, and despite very long rounds, we got every single group to tee off 18. We did it. We accomplished it. We got this tournament in, but we didn't.
Nope. Because, one individual by the name of Matt Kuchar has marked his ball and will come back in the morning to finish. Matt Kuchar is right now tied for 12th.
Yes.
1 over on his day. He's at 11 under total, and he is off the beaten path on 18. And he hit into the group in front of him on 18.
But Greg, this must have major FedEx Cup playoff implications for Matt Kuchar to pull. He must need a T12 or better to get himself into the playoffs, right?
Well, that would make a ton of sense. But he's projected right now 103rd in the FedEx Cup, and the top 70 get in.
Right. And the only way that he was going to get in this week was by winning the golf tournament, in which he is currently 7 shots behind, so mathematically eliminated from that.
Now, throughout this day, there was a very realistic chance that he could win this golf tournament. With 27 holes to go, Matt Kuchar was leading the way. Things kind of went off the rails a little bit for him. Now he's going to play a couple more shots for the season on Monday morning.
So just to recap, Matt Kuchar sprinted up to 18T, hit into the group ahead of him, which was Aaron Rai at the time, leading the golf tournament on the 72nd fairway, while Rai was standing over his golf ball. So pulls a pretty sick move to get his ball into play on 18 to give himself a chance to finish the golf tournament. And while his playing partners finished, and he has zero implications for his season or for anything else, he marks his ball and is going to come back tomorrow.
He's the only one. It's very surprising to me. I do not understand it in any way. I don't understand it if you're tired. I don't understand it. There's nothing on the line. What you got? A couple $1,000 on the line?
It is actually, in all seriousness, and I try to give these guys the benefit of the doubt. This is such a clown move. He is you know how these tournaments work. They would be moving everything out right now, right? They'd be tearing down the shot link towers. They'd be packing up. They'd be heading to Memphis. We already had a bunch of delays this week. There's probably like legitimately 70 people that are going to have to come back tomorrow, keep the infrastructure in place so that Matt Kuchar can hit 3 to 5 meaningless shots because his little ego was bruised by a bad Sunday.
It's so disappointing because it really is the end of the season. It's not like, well, if I could save a couple FedEx Cup points, this may help me get into the playoffs later in the season. It is literally meaningless for him. So, it's kind of bizarre. It just doesn't seem like the right thing to do, no matter what way, no matter how you look at it.
I was saying to you before we went hot, the only somebody needs to get in Kuchar's ear, or he needs to cool off and withdraw from this tournament right now, because that's the only way. Just give up your. I don't know what a T12 is, Josh. I don't know if we can get that. It's probably not a lot of money for him. He's made 60 some odd $1 million in his PGA Tour career, plus plenty of other money. Let these people go home. Do not come back tomorrow. If he truly shows up tomorrow to finish this round, he like, someone has got to get in his ear and say, dude, just WD. This is such a bad look.
It's not a good look. But again, I don't know. What does it matter if it's a bad? His brand really changed with the whole incident in Mexico. Mm-hmm. That was a serious hit to Matt Kuchar's brand. He went from a fan favorite to somebody that everybody looked at with kind of a little bit of a side eye. This adds to that. I'm not sure the significance of that. I'm not sure how many deals, and you don't see him in very many commercials. I'm not sure what kind of deals are going to be affected by this. So I don't know. I mean, you're just affecting so many other people for something that's very meaningless.
Correct.
And it's just simply not the right thing to do.
Correct. Now, with that being said, I don't fly out until Tuesday anyway. Should I just go over and watch? Like, I feel like this is a moment that at least golf Twitter will remember forever. So I feel like if I have the chance to just go watch him play 18, I should just do it.
You should do that. You should be there before he gets there.
I will wait for him at the range. He better warm up. He better take it seriously. He better go through his full routine. He better warm up on the range. I'll go out and be at the range waiting for him.
You should do that. Here we go. Here we go, Cooch.
Come on, Cooch. You got this, bud. Finish strong. Finish strong.
Everybody missed that putt short.
Yeah. Although that was yesterday. I haven't seen anybody hit it today.
Same whole location as yesterday.
Oh, man.
You should go if you got nothing else to do.
I'm thinking about it. Why if they tweet out like whatever time, yeah, like maybe I will. I got nothing else to do. All right. So unfortunately, Matt Kuchar has taken the spotlight of the first block of this show, but we did have a lot of golf, a lot of great golf. We had some unbelievable moments coming down the stretch, and we have a very, very deserving winner, which we are going to talk about after a quick word from our partners. And we're back. All right, let's focus on the golf that was played today, Greg. And as I mentioned, it was a lot. We finished up round number 2. We went through the entirety of round number 3, and we did eventually mathematically determine a winner. And kind of what you were saying is, the evolution of this day with the guys playing rounds simultaneously. We never regrouped. There were probably 6 to 12 guys at any point throughout the day that had a realistic chance of winning this golf tournament.
Yeah. Well, and after, looking back, hindsight being 2020, it may even have been more than that. Yeah. And you wonder with how long the day is and where guys know they have to finish, at what point do they give up hope, sort of thing. It did look like a number of players were getting fatigued. Rounds were taking a long time out there. It was a slog for sure. And you could kind of see that in the performances, the mental battle of getting into every shot when you're exhausted like that and wondering what it all means. At some point, it's like, all right, this is, I'm out of this. And now looking back at where that lead ended, there are probably a lot more players who said, hey, a couple things here or there, shot here, shot there. A little more focus, and I could have been right there coming down the stretch. So, yeah, I do think it was a lot more wide open than it felt at times today.
Yeah, that's a good point because 18 under par was the eventual winning score. And trust me, it was hot, it was humid, it was muggy. Those were very, very long rounds out there. And I want to focus on Luke Clanton, Greg, who continues to make no money on the PGA Tour because he is still an amateur and he is still putting up top 10 finishes nearly every single time he tees it up. He was the first one this morning that really made a charge on the top of the board. So he was 5 under through his first 6 holes in round 3. And that featured an eagle on 13, an eagle on 15, and he shot a 62 in that third round. He followed it up with a 69 in the final round. That's just 1 under par. He ends up finishing 4 shots off the lead, but he talked about it after his rounds with Amanda. He is just brimming with confidence. He couldn't be happier to be taking care of every opportunity that he gets right now, and the skill set is very impressive.
It's extremely impressive for such a young player to come out here and show this kind of game. It's kind of the classic style of play that you see from young, really talented players, where it's extremely aggressive. He is extremely accurate with his longer clubs into the hole locations, which led to a number of eagles for him this week. It is extremely high upside, high talent level. There are still some things for him to clean up in his game, which he knows and he'll continue to learn and continue to improve on. He missed some short putts. There's some short game things that he can definitely clean up. But all in all, you can see just this talent level is sky high, and it's impressive to watch.
Yeah, so 14 under par was the winning score. And then we got a couple of different charges throughout the day. I think one of the guys who was most in it, especially by the end, was Ryo Hisatsune, a 64 in round 3, a 67 in round 4. So that is all 4 rounds of 67 or better, Greg. He was 3rd in the field in strokes gained approach. And what I did not realize is he's only 22 years old. Actually, he's only 21 years old. He'll be turning 22. He won the French Open last year. He's got a lot of worldwide experience. I think he's kind of lurking as one of these next in line Japanese guys come over and start making some noise on the American tour.
Yeah, he definitely has that ability. And I didn't realize he was that young either, Rick, but yeah. He's an impressive player. It's kind of a unique swing, a little bit of a unique follow through at least, but the ball goes where he's looking. I think he hit 12 approach shots inside of 15 feet today across the 2 rounds that he played. It was really an incredible ball striking performance from him. He was 3rd in round 3 in strokes gained approach, 6th in round 4 in strokes gained approach. Unfortunately made a bogey on 14 and 18 that ultimately, cost him a really good chance at winning. And he's one of those guys that probably didn't feel like he could win, but still a super strong performance, and kudos to him for a great T3 finish.
Hisatsune, he turns 22 next month, September 9th, and he's got 4 professional wins. That includes one on the DP World Tour. That was the French Open, and then 3 Japanese Tour victories along the way. Still plenty of good golf in his future. And you're right, Greg, because that was the time that he was playing his best golf, finishing his rounds, and posting his scores. It was the Max Greyserman show. And from what he did in round 2, which was the 60, then he goes out in round 3 and plays a flawless bogey-free 66 and eagles 15. And then round 4, I mean, he is just unstoppable. He makes another eagle on 5. He turns in 31, and then the moment of the day for Max, it was a stretch of holes. We'll start with 13. He holes out from the fairway for eagle, Greg, to extend his lead to 4 shots. 4 shots with 5 to go. Max Greyserman at that moment on top of the world.
He got it to 19 under through 6 holes. And that's when this is exactly what I'm referring to with guys thinking that they probably aren't going to be able to catch up. All right, because he's at 19 through 6. Because he makes birdie at 1, 2, the eagle at 5, birdie at 6. That was a really strong performance. And now he's just chipping away at pars, right? He's just hitting high quality golf shots, hitting it. He's hitting his shot shape. He's hitting it in the fairway. He's knocking it on the green. He's giving himself stress-free pars. And that's what he did in the third round, too. Everything was stress-free. And he sprinkled in the 2 birdies. The eagle turned a so-so round into a really solid round of 66. And then you come out and you're 4 under through 6, and this tournament is yours. It's over. Then you hole out on 13, and it's icing on the cake. This is now a tribute to Max Greyserman. And then all of a sudden, I didn't even see this live because I stepped away for a second. I come back, and he's hitting his third shot off the tee. He hit it out of bounds.
Yeah.
Path. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Greg. It's interesting because he was pretty emotionless all day. And when he holed out on 13, that was like the most emotion that we got from it. It was like you could see him. He kind of fist pumped it. He celebrated, and then you could almost see it in his face where he tried to like, oh crap. He like tried to like reset immediately in that moment. Like, okay, just like back to like it happened within 5 seconds of the ball going in the cup. If you want to go back and watch, you can see what I'm talking about. And from that point on, it's just everything got away from. And I wonder if it just he gave himself the win in his mind. He started thinking that was the first time maybe he allowed himself to think about it. I don't know what it was, but you're right. He hits his drive on 14 OB, hits his third shot off the tee into such a bad lie, Greg, that like Kuchar had to point it out to him standing 1 foot away from it. They couldn't even find it. They were standing 1 foot away from it. And he just continues to compound errors by laying it up into the cross bunker. I mean, just the whole world went sideways for him on 14.
In an instant. I think the term you use, Rick, emotionless, is very interesting to me because we talked about this on Monday when I guess maybe it turned out to be true. We called it the peak was the 3M. And I gave one little caveat because this really stuck out to me. Even though it was a great performance and he didn't win, it didn't seem like it was extremely emotional, heartbreaking defeat. It was kind of ho-hum. Oh yeah, well I played great, and we'll see if it's enough, and if it's not, then we'll move on. It was very basic. He shoots 60, and it's like, yeah, I think everybody would be thinking about it coming down the stretch. And on 18, I hit a good putt, focus on speed, and it didn't go in. So, oh well, maybe next time. And it's like this, such a matter of fact, calm, collected attitude. And boy, it's a lot easier to be cool, calm, and collected when all you're putting on your scorecard is circles. And then all of a sudden you hit what OB, you hit it in the rough, you lay up in a cross bunker, you hit it to 8 feet, you miss it, and you make a quad. He gave up he's at 21 under par. He gave it all back in one hole.
4-shot lead. He makes an 8, a snowman, a quad on number 14, as Greg mentioned, after making the brutal mistake of hitting into the cross bunker. He splashes it out right in front of the green, chips it, 7 feet by, misses that putt, and it's a quad. And now it's like, it's crazy town. If that wasn't crazy enough, he gets the par 5, 15th next. He makes birdie there. And you're thinking, okay, maybe he's still in this and he has stopped the bleeding. He gets to the par 3, 16th. He hits that green. He is 41 feet away. And from there, Greg, it took him 4 putts, 3 of which were from 3 feet. So if you're trying to figure that out, he missed back-to-back 3-footers on 16 for a 4-putt double. So that stretch of 13 through 16, where he started at 6 under par, started at 4 under par on 13T, went eagle, quad, birdie, double. He walks off the 16th green at 1 under.
It's unbelievable to me. And even this is the craziest part, even after the hitting the ball OB. Okay, let's just say that he hit a bad shot. It happens. Well, then he hit a terrible layup that's inexcusable. It makes a quad, and still after the very next hole is at the mark that wins the tournament. He's on the green at 16 in regulation. So after making a quad, he hits a great tee shot at 15, a perfect second shot, and a good 2-putt. He hit a really nice shot into 16. Came up a little short. He was kind of surprised by that, and it didn't get up onto the back shelf. But the next 3 swings he makes are great. And I don't know if that's some of the darkness. I don't know if that's the nerves. I don't know what's going on there, but he still has an opportunity to win this tournament even after the quad. At least force a playoff. Make it so Matt Kuchar is not the only one out there on Monday. We could have had something real to play for. Sorry.
That's it.
And it's a 4-putt. And it's shocking. And then at that point, it's ball game.
Yeah.
And by the way, Aaron Rai was at 17. He had the lead. He took the lead after 15.
Yeah, and by all accounts, did not know it, right? Because all of that was happening behind him. It was happening as he was taking the lead. And then when you get off of 17 to 18, there's not a scoreboard there. And he said after his round, he asked his caddy, like, where are we at? And his caddy was like, just hit a good one. Like, you just hit a good one. Okay. So all of this is happening. Aaron Rai has no clue, which is probably best.
Probably. I think it's nice to know what you have to do. I think as a competitor, you want to know that. But whatever he did worked out for him. But for poor Max Greyserman, it's like you give it all away, you get it back, you give it away again. And that it's gut-wrenching. I mean, this was one of the most painful collapses that I have seen since the U.S. Open this year at Pinehurst.
This is okay. So we talked earlier this week about a guy who kind of gets on this run, has a really great finish, peaks, which could have been Greyserman at the 3M Open. I always wonder how guys react to this, right? When you have an event that, listen, I'm sure he will tell you this, and I will tell you this, he should have won. And he should be on a different career trajectory right now than he was an hour ago. That can screw some guys up. And I'm interested, Greg, because it has been such a good summer. T21 at the US Open, T31 at the Rocket Mortgage, 26th, 21st, 13th, the runner-up at 3M, a runner-up here. It has been an excellent summer. He's going to improve his OWGR by a ton. It's going to feel dirty. It's going to feel dirty for a while.
He made a bogey on his very first hole of the tournament. Did not make another one until the 4th hole today. The 4th hole in his final round today. He 3-putted. He bounced back from that with going eagle birdie. And like I said, taking over the tournament. The guy made 2 bogeys in all those holes. I'm not even going to go through the math. And makes a quad and a double in the last 5 holes. That hurts so badly. Now, his team should be telling him that, look at all this great golf you played. I mean, he played phenomenal golf. I was thinking about this up until this point. He flushed it. He's got a ton of ball speed. He smashes it. His iron shots were coming right out of the middle of the face. Shot after shot. He was so calm. And then everything changes. And it changes so quickly. And it shouldn't. If you step back and go sports psychologist on it, this shouldn't have an effect, but it will.
He doesn't have he doesn't have time to dwell on this. So he entered the week 64th in the FedEx Cup standings. He moves to 47th. So he is in for Memphis and in a very good position to get to Denver. So maybe it is good news, Greg. If this ended his season and he had to think about this for 3 or 4 or 5 weeks, I think that personally speaking, that would be tough for me. He's hopefully going to stay right into his routine. They're going to be in Memphis tomorrow. He's going to, just get right back to it. That might be good for him.
It definitely could be. And you know what? A player that's this talented, he may or may not play well in Memphis. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm sure that he's going to be a little more fatigued than he normally would be, not because of this emotional roller coaster, but just because of the schedule that they had to endure this week. But the next time he gets in contention is when this really you'll see it. So I think he'll be able to play some good golf and shoot some good scores. I don't think you're going to see him go shooting 80 now all of a sudden. He's not going to get the mental yips. But when he gets in contention again next time, that's when you'll really see how this affects it. But I think it's a good point, Rick. It'll be good to get right back on the horse for hopefully at least 2 more weeks.
Right. Yeah. So Greyserman is on an excellent run. We'll see if he is able to continue it. Now, speaking of excellent runs, putting a stamp on his summer and on his year is Aaron Rai, who has won the Wyndham Championship. And Aaron Rai started his day, so the third round, with a 68. That is only 2 under par, but he was much better in the final round. A 64 there, Greg. It was bogey free. The highlights were a 4 birdie streak early in his round, 3 through 6. And then for me, the shot that he hit into 18 in, if you ask Matt Kuchar, maybe it was the pitch black. I don't know, but it was definitely dwindling light. He hits an excellent shot into 18 to 6.5 feet, and he rolls it in, which at the time, especially for him, that golf tournament is still very much up in the air. So he does that knowing, or at least thinking, I've got to hit a great shot. I've got to make birdie here. This is a difficult hole. He pulls it off. Just absolute hat tip to Aaron Rai. It was a very, very special week for him.
A very special week and a very special final round. This was a laser show, Rick. And I was thinking, watching this tournament, for much of the day, Aaron Rai should have won this tournament. I was thinking that hours ago. Aaron Rai should have won this tournament. He makes those 4 birdies in a row, which is great. Hit great shots in there, as you would expect. Misses from 10 feet at 9. Let me get these actual official numbers here for round 4. Okay, 10 feet at 9, he misses. 4 feet, 10 inches at 10, he misses. 6 feet, 8 inches at 13, he misses. 11 feet, 4 inches at 16, he misses. 14 feet at 17, he misses. There and round 3 had a bunch of those too. He left so many opportunities out there, yet still shoots 64. It turns out to be an incredible round, but even with Greyserman doing what he was doing, Aaron Rai had hit the shots to keep up with him. He really did. This was so impressive. It was very on brand for Aaron Rai, and now I'm very happy for him that he capped it off.
Yeah, so this is kind of where I say, and I say this kind of jokingly sometimes, but stuff like this is kind of a math problem. Aaron Rai, over his entire career, has done a lot of things really well on the PGA Tour. He's been one of the best tee to green players that we have, especially when it comes to fairways and greens, and he just can't putt. Or I should say he couldn't putt, because despite having a lot of really good finishes, the great finishes haven't come until recently, when he makes a little putting adjustment, gets a new putting coach, the stats start coming through. He has a runner-up finish at the Rocket Mortgage, a T7 at the John Deere, a T4 at the Scottish, and then you look at what he did this week, and even with those misses, even with those misses, because he's giving himself so many opportunities, gained 2.5 strokes putting. 2.5. It's not a ton. It's not a Denny McCarthy, Christian Bezuidenhout type of number. But when you are Aaron Rai level of ball striking, and you go from losing 2.5 strokes putting to gaining 2.5 strokes putting over the course of 4 rounds, you unlock all of these high-end finishes, and they are now just coming in bunches.
Yes. Well, and you also start making a whole lot more birdies, and that has opened up more tournaments for him, right? I always thought Aaron Rai will have success in kind of more challenging golf courses where 8, 9, 10 under, 11, 12 under, somewhere in there is your winning score, because he can go shoot 8 under. He could shoot 2 under anywhere every day. But all of a sudden, the Rocket Mortgage Classic becomes a tournament he can win. The John Deere Classic becomes a tournament he can win. The Wyndham Championship becomes a tournament he can win, because he is such a great ball striker, now capping it off. And all of a sudden, well, he makes a lot of pars, turns into, wow, he doesn't miss very much, and he makes a lot of birdies, and that works. So it's been very cool to see. Rick, this kind of reminds me of what we saw out of Steven Yeager earlier this year. It's a slightly different way. I think Aaron Rai is a much more reliable ball striker than Steven Yeager. But Steven Yeager, earlier this year, we were having the conversation. He's so consistent. He's so good all the way across the board, but we're not getting the ceiling. Where's this? I mean, are we going to play him in a DFS lineup when he's going to finish somewhere between 18th and 19th? It's good, but There's not a lot of variance. Now he started to find his way into contention. It led to a win. It's a very similar story for Aaron Rai.
So what will also be interesting is what happens next, right? Because we have seen this story before. Lucas Glover figures out how to putt, wins not only this tournament last year, but next week's tournament last year, but it goes away. Will Zalatoris to start 2024 putts like a madman, puts together 5 or 6 strong finishes. That has gone away. We have seen the question will continue to be Corey Connors, another one of these really high-end ball strikers, starting to putt better. How long does that continue? So it's not like these fixes, these sudden improvements, they don't always stay, Greg. And that's kind of where we're at now with Rai. Not to pour cold water on this, because I'm stoked for him. I hope he continues, but like that is something that now I'm very aware of.
Yes. And I think there's a couple different things you got to look at in this kind of scenario. One is, well, what has led to the change? And how significant is it? And for Aaron Rai, it's a very simple change, right? They worked on, he gets a new putting coach, John Graham. They work on apparently just green reading. So John Graham, at least to begin with, doesn't think there's any mechanical problems. It's just the way you approach the read on the green. And all of a sudden he starts seeing the ball go in. So there's a really positive element to that, which means, okay, he wasn't really that bad of a putter before. His putts just weren't going in, which sounds funny, but it's a real thing, right? You can hit great putts consistently and not make any. That's why putting's so hard. It's why it's so variable. It's why we don't put a lot of stock into players who just lean on putting, because it can go away in an instant, even if you hit great putts. So I think it's a real positive that there's not a whole lot of work that went into this change. That being said, this can always fluctuate, but I don't think it's going to be a scenario where it goes away for a long period of time. I think this really has some staying power, Rick.
I hope you're right, because I love, he seems to be such a humble, kind of thankful guy, just very, very good dude with an elite game. I like to see him when he's in the mix, and this week was something that he's been building towards. I'm happy for him.
Yeah, I'm happy for him too. It's very well deserved. I think there's a lot of attributes that he has that are very admirable. I mean, I think he hits it sometimes. Sometimes I look through his shot tracker after a round. I'm like, this is what Scotty Scheffler looks like on paper. You know, when you look at it afterwards, he plays it down the middle off the tee into the middles of greens, but he's learning how to get more aggressive with wedge shots and hit it closer when he gets short irons. It's really cool to watch this kind of transformation here.
If you're going to get hot, Greg, get hot right now. Aaron Rai goes from 53rd in the FedEx Cup standings to 25th. So seemingly going to lock up his spot in signature events for next year, putting himself in a great position to make a deep run into Eastlake. Obviously, the points get quadrupled, so a lot of different things can happen starting next week. But if you are going to get on a late summer heater, you can make a lot of money on the PGA Tour.
Yes, you could make a lot of money. And it's kind of fitting, right? Because the winners on the PGA Tour get into all the signature events for the rest of the year.
Right.
But if you win the Wyndham, there's no more. Right. So it's very fitting that this, in all likelihood, gets him into BMW. I would be stunned if I don't even know if it's mathematically possible.
I was gonna say it might be locked up. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's locked up. Right. He's in all the signature events next year and very deserving of that. And I think he has the game to compete at these venues. I mean, I haven't seen the schedule for next year, but if the signature event schedule is similar, you can make a very strong case for Pebble Beach being a good golf course for Aaron Rai. The RBC Heritage and Travelers, great venues for Aaron Rai. These are venues that he can very legitimately compete at. Wells Fargo, probably not great for him. Genesis could be you never know about Genesis. But point being, he belongs in this category, and I think he actually has the game to win signature events, contend in signature events, not just play in them.
Aaron Rai wins the Wyndham Championship, and that marks that's his first career PGA Tour victory, is it not?
It is.
It is, yeah. So he's got that win. He won the Scottish Open. He won the Hong Kong Open. Excuse me. So now a handful of bigger worldwide wins. Congratulations to Aaron Rai. We are going to recap our bets, recap the one and done, and we are getting a potential update about the Matt Kuchar situation, which we will talk about after a quick word from our partners.
Well, you need your sports news anywhere?
We've got breaking news to bring you.
Then get your sports anytime you want them. Big trade news overnight to discuss.
Because we know you need sports all the time.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
A legend adds to their legacy.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, anywhere, anytime, all the time.
And we're back. This is probably not the update that we were looking for, but Kyle Porter, our very own Kyle Porter, has tweeted out, according to some folks that Doug Bell has spoke with, also one of our own, Kuchar was frustrated that nobody alerted him about the golfers in the fairway on 18. He couldn't see them from where he was at. So he just would not hit a shot after that. Maybe Kuchar felt like, okay, so in this scenario, Greg, Kuchar feels like he's being made out to be a jerk because he didn't know that they were in the fairway. Now he's the bad guy for hitting into them. He feels like he's been wronged.
Well, two wrongs make a right.
I've learned that. And you're a father, Greg. I'm sure you teach your boys that.
Yes. Two wrong. If your brother hits you, you hit him back. That's actually, I'm okay with that sometimes, but this is not this does not make it better. This does not make it better. I figured that's what happened when he hit into the group on 18. I'm sure he wasn't saying, "Oh, I'm just gonna hit. I'd hope I miss them." Right? He's been playing on the PGA Tour for a long time. That would be a shocking scenario. But to be so frustrated that you're gonna make everybody come back the next day to watch you chip out of the woods and hit it on the green and make 5. It's frustrating.
Right. You made me look like a jerk. so now I'm going to be a jerk. That's the logic that we got from Matt Kuchar tonight.
That's well said.
Yeah.
It's just the wrong way to go about things. I'll leave it at that. Look, I don't want to be too critical. I like Matt Kuchar. I thought he would have a good week. He did. So, which is nice. But this is just not the way to do things.
Someone else asked, we'll move on from Matt Kuchar. Someone else asked, like, oh, is 50 grand or 100 grand meaningless now? And it's like, no, of course not. But Matt Kuchar's made $60 million in his career, plus endorsements, plus all this stuff. I did the math. The average, it's like it'd be like $12 to the average American is what he'd be giving up by WDing. So,
penny saved is a penny earned.
Penny saved is a penny earned. Yeah, he's gonna come back, get that cash.
Yeah, and I also don't want to like get in the way of someone and their money. It's his job, but
yeah, you're right. No, you're right. I'm not gonna. You're right. I'm not. I shouldn't be reaching into his pocketbook. I should be reaching into his wallet and see what's going on. He has the right to do this. It's just exercising the right in this moment. Is
what Kyle just told us, right? If those reports from a very reputable Doug Bell, if those reports are true, this is not a financial decision.
Right. That's not. It's just
not reaching into his pockets. This is just, like you said, just being a jerk.
It's out of spite.
It's out of spite. Out of spite. It's an unbelievable move. It's really unbelievable. And I wonder when he goes, and I know it was a long day. I wonder when you go lay down and think about this, or you're walking out to the golf course tomorrow, if you're thinking, man, what am I doing? What have I done?
The other thing, and what would have been a really one of my favorite potential storylines today was, so they, it's been a very long day. So I was at the golf course this morning, and they had up on PGA Tour Live, they had up, I'm sure they probably showed it a couple times, where Kuchar's the only guy who has made the FedEx Cup standings every year since its inception. And the only way that he could get in this year was with a win. And that was when he was like leading the golf tournament. And I was like, I was legit. I was like, that's, first off, it's an awesome stat. It's awesome that it has come down to this. And the only thing he can do is win. And he's leading the golf tournament. I thought that was going to end up being a really cool Kuchar storyline. We definitely got a different Kuchar storyline.
I thought it was too, Rick. I mean, I was a little concerned about the length of this day. Being 46 years old, you could see it going away, but it didn't really get away from him. Ball strike. He hit a couple bad shots, but he still hit a lot of really good shots. The putter went cold on him, and he hit a couple loose ones, couple penalty shots. But now all anybody will talk about is the marking of the ball on 18 on Sunday night, when everybody else in your group finishes and you're the only player to come back on Monday.
It was hot out there. Maybe his brain melted. That's what I'll say. It was really hot. It was really humid. Somebody else said that he's providing a lot of cover for Max Greyserman. Maybe he's also providing a lot of cover for our bad bets for this week. So to look at these, we pushed 2 of the matchups and won one of them. Kyle got Keegan Bradley over Harris English. We lost the finishing positions because Chad Ramey, who was like winning this golf tournament through nearly 2 rounds, did not finish inside the top 20. And Brian Harmon, who was kind of around it for a while, did not finish inside the top 20. Nick Taylor, who shot a opening round 63, didn't even make the cut, let alone finish in the top 40. So all those guys got off to good starts, did not finish well, and we did not have Aaron Rai on the betting card. One other thing here, Greg, and I know we talked about it earlier in the week, but there's just been a lot of golf being played since then. Jordan Spieth misses the cut. Jordan Spieth drops to 63rd in the FedEx Cup standings. So it is probably one more start for him unless we get something good. And then, as he told us earlier this week, it seems like we are barreling towards some level of surgery to rectify what's going on here.
Yes, I would imagine the sooner the better. I'm surprised it hasn't happened already. I kind of thought it was going to happen after the Open.
Mm.
I just had an inkling that it was going this way. And then he confirms that, or nearly confirms that in the press conference this week. And it seems, I don't know what kind of operation this is going to be. And maybe he doesn't either. So I give him the benefit of the doubt on that. And perhaps it's a quick operation with a quick recovery time. But my thought process would be, all right, we'll get this done sooner rather than later. I'm Jordan Spieth. I'm going to get into all the signature events anyway. But let's make sure that I'm ready for next year by getting this solved right now, so I can maybe come back and play some events in the fall, shake off a little rust, get my feet under me, get some low stress competitive reps under my belt, and I can go into next season ready to go, ready to compete. It feels like the longer you wait, the less opportunity you have to shake off some of that rust in the fall, and you could get into like a Will Zalatoris situation where you're playing 3-4 tournaments and you're just rusty. And we see now how valuable all that time is. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Spieth, but it's just who knows what kind of operation that's going to be.
Yeah, it's been a lost year for him. Not a good year by really any calculation. The one and done was a little bit of a pillow fight. A couple of us got some decent cash here. So Kyle had Brian Harmon by himself and got 26,000. You and Josh Gregg had Cam Davis, who opened up 69, followed it up with a 73. He made an 8. By the way, speaking of big numbers, he made an 8 on number 5, a triple, and a double on 16 in that second round. So if he misses the cut, you guys get $0. But for our purposes, your lead at the top of our little pool is very, very safe.
Yes, it's very safe. In the big pool, I really needed a good week. I am now going into the playoffs limping, which I'm not thrilled about, because I had Akshay at the 3M who got me like 10 grand, $16,000 or something, which was disappointing. So I'm definitely limping in the playoffs. I have a lot of work to do, and I hope I have enough ammunition in the tank to carry me through with 3 good finishes, which is a challenge. It's really the challenge of this season now.
That's right. And Mark had Sung Jae Im, $32,000 there. And then winning the week, Patrick and I shared Billy Horschel at $266,000. In the overall standings, Cody 6, who entered the week in 4th, had Aaron Rai. So Josh, what is that? 1-4, 1-6? What's that? 1-4. So we don't have the final numbers yet because Greg, the tournament's not over. Who knows? Who knows what the payouts are going to be? Tournament's not over yet. So this has not been updated. So that'll move him to about 21 million or so. He probably doesn't look like he's going to take the lead, but he's going to be within a few, maybe 20, 30 grand, something like that, as depending on who everybody else had ahead of him. So that'll be the big jump there for Cody.
Yeah, that's huge. Hashtag good pick. Good pick to you guys for Billy Horschel too. But that's a big move because in these non-designated, non-signature events, you need to really win to make up any ground. So that's huge, getting a win out of Aaron Rai.
The good news, I think, though, is because we got most of this tournament done and the field is set for Memphis, I think we're going to be okay with scheduling for next week, right? Because we had talked about there was a chance we were like, okay, is DraftKings even going to release the pricing on time? If the field's not set, what are we going to do about the Monday show? How is that going to bleed into the Tuesday show? Are we going to I think we're going to have a normal week next week.
I think we're heading in that direction as well. I thought for sure we were going to get 72 holes in this morning, today, and we almost did. But I think as for our podcasting purposes, next week should be pretty normal.
If we went and looked through so in this tournament, there were probably, I don't know, 5,000 shots that were hit. and we got through 4,997 of them. We got through like 99.999% of this golf tournament.
It was, oh man, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable. And the pace was really slow. There were a lot of backups, which happens when you have split tees and threesomes. It always, if you talk to players about it, the whole field finishes quicker, but the pace is just a lot slower. You could really feel that. And to just not quite finish is, it hurts.
Can I tell you, big hat tip to the grounds crew. I heard the final number of what they got in rain this week, and I want to say it was 6.4 inches of rain, and that place was immaculate. The greens by like mid third round were starting to get like yellow, and like they did an unbelievable job out there.
In the second round, so this was Saturday, Cam Young putted a ball off a green.
Mm-hmm.
In the same week that they got 6.5 inches of rain.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is kudos to the grounds crew.
On a course that has all those creeks that it's already a wet course. Like that course already plays wet. They got 6 more inches. I could not believe the shape it was in. It was awesome.
It's a really good hat tip, Rick. Because that should, I mean, that is a disaster situation. You saw the pictures. You had island green. You had island greens on 4 or 5 holes.
Mm-hmm.
It was insane, and it played like it got rain the night before. You know, it was really a masterclass.
Yeah. Regular season's done. We're going to the playoffs tomorrow. Should be a clean schedule for us. Monday DFS, Tuesday mega preview pod. We are also going to have our network shows as well, and then round by round recaps. Is there anything else, Greg, before we get out of town for the night?
Well, I know you're not leaving until I know you're not leaving. It's almost time for the playoffs. We just got to get through. Let me know how Kuchar finishes up tomorrow on 18.
I'm going to go out there and live tweet it. Okay, Kuchar is now addressing his golf ball.
You really should do that. I will be up. I will be slightly disappointed if that doesn't happen.
Man, now I feel like I don't know. Like I want to. So I'm like, what a waste of time it would be for me to go over that. It'd be such a waste of time for me to go over that. But I kind of want to do it.
I would understand that too.
It would take me like it would be like a full. By the time I drive over, like it could be like an hour to watch him hit like 3 shots in like 6 minutes.
Not even fun shots, right? You're probably gonna have like a chip out of the woods, a shot onto the green, and a couple of putts.
I'm also just gonna like hate watch it. Like I'm just like this is stupid. What are we doing here?
You could get an autograph.
I'll sell it. I'll sell it and donate the funds to the bag boys who had to hang around.
Now that's thinking.
All right, Greg. Always good to talk to you, my friend. I will see you tomorrow for the DFS show. Producer Josh does all the hard work behind the scenes. Thank you very much. Greg is available on Twitter at TheRealGFD, and you can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut. We'll catch you next time.